Didn't know today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing hallelujah,
So good afternoon, everyone. Just while we're waiting, there is space here if any of you want to come up here and sit in this area. Don't feel obligated, but it's here if you want it. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so welcome. Welcome, everyone. On behalf of Dawn and Shoska and Peter's family, I'd like to welcome you to this, as Peter would like for it to be grave occasion. My name's Robert Montgomery, and I have the deep honor of making things go how best they can go today. I want to say a special thank you to everyone who is joining us on the live stream. and especially those who are overseas, and also to welcome those of you who have come from far. KZN, we have a collection of you who've made your way down here today. So thank you. Welcome, everyone. So, we're here to say farewell and to commemorate a very dear, special man. I'll tell you a little bit about what is going to unfold here. So first we're going to hear from those who knew Peter best. So as you can imagine, many wanted to speak and share their memories and thoughts of Peter. But of course we have to keep this on time and select a few. And so we'll be hearing from family, and we'll be hearing from friends to share their thoughts and memories of Peter. Then that will be followed by some music from a dear old friend of Peter's, Aaron, and then we'll move into the service, and the service will be to consign Peter back to the earth and each part of him to where they need to go. And this will be conducted by Neil Campbell here. And then following the service, which will be, we hope, at about 4:00, if all the speakers, well, if I do my job well and I keep everyone on time, then following the service, there will be drinks and snacks and an opportunity for you to explore, you may have already done so, the memorial stations here, and to gather and meet and talk and share your memories of Peter at these stations in this incredible garden that Dawn over the years has lovingly created. And then we'll also have an opportunity to, there'll be a gift that we will be offering you to actually offer each other, and Neil will be talking more about that. So just some logistics. Yeah, as I said, we want to end the service at about 4, and then you have an opportunity to wander the garden. If any of you, we're due to end at about 6. If any of you do want to leave earlier than 6, there will be someone up at the gate to let you out at every half an hour for a few minutes. So you're going to have to be quick and on time. If you want out of here before 6, you have to be there on the half hour for about 5 minutes. And then for toilets, there's a toilet just in the viewing room onto the right. As you come through the front door, there is a toilet on the right. And then if there's a queue there, please, can we use the one we can use the one in the apartment on the side of the house. So if you go through up here onto the right, you'll go through a green fenced off area, and then you can go around to the side of the house and there'll be a toilet there. Okay. So now we're going to hear from a selection of speakers. And what I'll do for those of you who are speaking is that I'll give you a 4-minute warning. We're going to try and keep it to 5 minutes. This is... Peter would have liked this. Peter would have liked us to have been as precise as possible. So I'll give you a 4-minute warning, and then you'll have a minute to wrap up. So please keep an eye on me. I'll be standing just here beside Neil. I'd love to welcome up Peter's mother, Dawn.
First of all, thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Peter's life was so varied that we're not going to be able to cover every portion of it, but the main one was his work with the Wilderness Leadership School. I want to read for you, first of all, a letter from Cheryl Curry, who's the CEO of the Wilderness Leadership School. Dear Dawn and the Raimondo family, it is with a heavy heart and soul that I write to you in condolence for Peter's passing. He was a spirit that cannot be extinguished, and his dedication to conservation will live on in this organization and the hearts and minds of the very many people that he came to influence. His determination to develop and empower the guides with whom he came into contact will continue to be an inspiration to all, and the aspiration of many to achieve the high guiding bar that he set. His legacy within the Wilderness Leadership School is decades in the making and indelible in its impact. It lives on in protocols that he helped to craft and conversations that evolved around the fire on trail and will continue in conversations to come. The Raimondo family has been intricately entwined in our history and that of our founders, Ian Player and Makubu Ntombela. And for that connection, we are most profoundly grateful as the guides, management, and the board grieve with the family in this profound time and loss. You will hear a lot about Peter's life, his adult life, so I shall tell you more about his early years. Peter's first home was on an 8-acre plot on the banks of the Yuxkay River in Glenfinnes, Johannesburg, and this is where his first outdoor experiences started. His father, John, was guiding weekend trails for the Wilderness Leadership School in the area for school children. He also often took his sons camping just in the open ground around the area for an overnight sleep. So that's how it all started. A few days ago, I overheard one of Peter's friends remark about Peter's interest in guns and the fact that every time he saw a photograph of Peter, Peter was holding a rifle. This also started at Glenfinnes. Upstream from our property was the Yuxkay prison, and every now and then a prisoner would escape and invariably chose to come downstream as the route that was going to be most successful. At that time, John was still working in the family firm, which required him to travel a fair amount, both at home and abroad. This meant I was alone with 2 little boys on the property. So being concerned about our safety, John persuaded me that I should learn to shoot and found a range at Halfway House that offered target and defensive courses. After a few months of target work, I joined one of the courses. We have a lovely photograph of Peter with his toy gun, and he was aged 2.5 years old at that time. And he was following my moves precisely as I practiced the required actions for the examination in a given time. In 1982, when Peter was 3 years old, we moved to Cape Town. And while in junior school, he asked to join the Claremont Scouts, where he later became Scout leader, a really fitting beginning to his eventual occupation. During his university years, he started again with shooting regularly at the various ranges here in Cape Town. Unfortunately, they didn't have the kind of course that we had in Johannesburg. In 2002, Peter married Catherine van Dorsten, and they had a baby daughter named Leah, who died at birth. There is a memorial to Leah on the oak tree overlooking the river. Close by to us here is a memorial to John, Peter's father. And we will erect one in this garden as well for Peter. He loved this property very much, and he will be happy here. He also leaves a part of himself. So many memories, many, many memories, and a daughter to be born in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. I can't get enough hearing about Peter and all the early years. Peter was, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, he was a mystery to a lot of people because he was so multifaceted and diverse in his experience. And so I'm always learning about new things. So this is it's a really wonderful opportunity. Thank you for sharing that. So now we'll hear from Shoska, Peter's partner.
My dear Peter, when I think of you, I can clearly see the smile on your face. I hear you laugh and tell me stories and your dreams for us. I've missed your voice so much in the past week. I remember to this day seeing you for the first time arriving on your Ducati motorbike. We got along instantly. Impulsively, you invited me to travel through Africa. We only know each other for a few months then. Of course, I dropped all my other life plans and said yes. You showed me Africa and the immense magic that it holds. Your connection with nature is a very special one. Those who knew you and those who went into the bush with you will understand. When the news of leukemia hit us, we cried together a lot. A wobbly 2 years with lots of hospital time would follow. You had to live through fear and physical pain, but being able to face it together, you felt lighter, more at ease, as you mentioned in your last letter to me. You were always so strong and clear in your vision for life. Loving, sensitive, and kind, even when being difficult. You were a wonderful human being and the most amazing partner I could have wished for. You enjoyed the simple things in life, yet had the best taste for fine things too. We spent so many great nights with good food and wine around the table, and with Ginger next to us, laughing and dreaming away. You were still with me until your last day, gently in and out of sleep. Your last whispering words comforting and full of love. Bit by bit, your energy to live was taken from you. Your dreams were put on hold, and your acceptance of death coming closer found a place in you. Slowly, your body grew tired of all the treatment, and you decided it was time to rest now. I'm so grateful to have had you as the love of my life. Now I must let you go. We have to say goodbye. I take comfort in knowing you will always be with me in my heart wherever you are. Lots of love.
Thank you, Shoska. And now we'll hear from Anna, Peter's sister.
I feel like I missed many parts of Peter's life. We weren't often in the same city. But to be fair, he was a man of many facets and many interests, and he threw his all into something that interested him. He was Peter the guide, the coach, tango dancer, biker, swimmer, band manager, writer, scout leader, animal communicator, and almost a sangoma. So it's easy to miss out or not connect with him on some of his interests, but I always felt I knew who he was. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and he was open with his thoughts and feelings, and that's what made him such a special human. Peter had a wry sense of humor, and as the youngest and the only girl, I often was receiving it on the receiving end of it. I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, looking at a photo of both my brothers staring lovingly at me when I was a baby, and I said to Peter, "You used to love me so much. What happened?" And he said, "You learned to talk." Later, when I was old enough, I was actually able to play with them. We would often team up, one brother with me against the other brother, and we would create death traps in this garden, inspired by Indiana Jones. And the three of us would dig underground tunnels in the cliffs by the river or build mud baths, and we generally just ran rampant. It was amazing that none of us had serious injuries. I believe that having this time in the garden and all this natural beauty at his fingertips at such a young age really helped shape who he would become later in life. Peter was a typical middle child and had a remarkable ability to advocate for his needs, and he was fiercely independent. He also had a free spirit and willful disregard for what was expected of him. I remember in high school when he sat my parents down and managed to convince them that he needed to leave his current school and go to a different one for his final year. In that same year, he tried to convince us all that smoking weed was beneficial for you. And at some point, I think he was even growing it in the garden. If you know my mother, you know that did not go down very well. When he came back from India, he was a changed man. I still hardly know anything about his time there. Instead, we sat talking about ideas. He used to infuriate me because he would use talking to people as a way of formulating his ideas. While he did that, he managed to convince you that what he was thinking was actually what he thought. And then you'd come back a month or two later on the same topic, and his mind would be totally changed. He was always evolving. And even though he could be provoking and sometimes hurtful, I knew I could always get an honest opinion from him. A typical Libra, Peter liked to find balance in his life. He often did this by extremes. My favorite example was when he had come back off a trail, and then he would binge, and I mean really binge, on chocolates and junk food for about 2 or 3 days. Later in life, Peter took the role as a mediator, and whether trying to navigate fraught family dynamics or within his role as a board member, he genuinely managed to use his charm, intelligence, frankness, and persuasion to calm people down and to make people feel heard. Someone said to me the other day that Peter had bigger hopes for you than you had for yourself. And I've experienced that firsthand. When I came back from overseas and felt stuck in what to do, he asked me what I wanted to do one day. And I told him that I wanted to have my own jewelry business. And he said, why not just do it now? And it never even occurred to me that that was an option. And needless to say, I followed his advice, and I'm still doing what I love 14 years later. At the beginning of the year, I had a conversation with Peter and asked him if there was anything left on his bucket list that he wanted to still do. And he said no. It just goes to show how he lived his life, all in and to the fullest. As we say farewell to Peter, let us carry forward his legacy of passion and adventurous spirit and commitment to what he loved, forever grateful for the impact he had on our lives. Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. So we'll now hear from Mark Shapiro, Peter's old university friend.
Peter was a warrior and a gentleman. He was a great friend to me, and I will miss him. I first met Peter at university, and over the course of the last 20 years, our friendship has grown. Through all the ups and downs of life, we've somehow stayed connected. I always admired and respected Peter. He was confident, intelligent, adventurous, and charming. As a friend, he was always honest, trustworthy, loyal, and kind. Peter was able to find his way in any situation, be it in the wilderness or a night out in the town. Peter was a natural leader and touched many people's lives, especially through his work as a wilderness guide. His time at the Wilderness Leadership School were happy times, and he often shared stories with us about the team he worked with and the incredible adventures and encounters he had on trails. Many of us had the opportunity to walk with him in the Umfolozi Wilderness Reserve, a special place, and often a transformative experience that left a mark on your life. I will always remember the nights talking around the campfire and waking up to the sound of elephants or a lion's call. I think Peter knew himself better than many people I know. He spent time looking inwards, but didn't get stuck there. He was an old soul that connected with his heart and trusted his gut to show him the way. Peter always had courage, and he faced his life and his death with the same grace and determination. I'm not one to believe that Peter is here watching. I would like to rather imagine that he's off on an adventure, charting his own course, reading the signs around him, and taking the path less traveled. Or maybe he's enjoying a tango class or a glass of wine on a sun-bathed terrace overlooking the sea. Peter was a good man, a great friend to me, and I will miss him. He will never be forgotten.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so now we're going to hear from the guides from the Wilderness Leadership School. Where are you? There you are. There's Rodney. Yep.
Is it taller than me? Can I reach? Good afternoon, everyone. To the Raimondo family, Soske, and all friends at large. We, as the Wilderness Leadership School guides, wish to extend our condolences to the family and all of you. We work with Peter for many years in the wilderness areas. We worked in Mfolozi where his heart is, and we really enjoyed the time with Peter. He was a good man to us, and he made sure that he lived with us in peace. Although, yes, of course, we had ups and downs, darks and goods, but it is witnessed in his last days that he was a man of peace and unity. He made sure that he wanted to meet all the guides before he died. We didn't expect that it will happen so soon. So I would like to read some of these words came from the guides. We used to call Peter umanyanyeza in Zulu, which means soft, deep voice. Farewell to Peter. You were a man of courage, discipline, loyalty, commitment, and compassion. You will be missed. Your legacy is in good hands. You were a true spiritual warrior. Your body represents wilderness itself. Your soul fed the children of the wilderness. Your footprints were the direction of life. Your voice was a gift to the lovers of the wilderness. So we wish to give this as a present for Peter to take with when he's walking his own journey, a spiritual journey, because he lived a physical life with us, but now he's going to another world where we don't know. So with this mission statement from the Wilderness Leadership School, I went to the woods because I wish to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what I had to teach, and not when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. So Peter is isihlabani sehlane, it's a wilderness warrior. We will miss you, Peter Raimondo Manyanyeza. Rest in peace. Thank you.
thank you. And thank you for coming all the way here. The guides have to leave at 5 o'clock, so if you want to connect with them, form a line. So now we're going to hear from Neil, and Neil is a traditional healer and was originally Peter's mentor, but then quickly they became firm, dear friends. Neil.
Thank you, Rob. I spent the night trying to prepare for what I'd say, and nothing was all right. So I don't come with a piece of paper. Thank you for lifting the mic. That's it. Thank you. I met Peter 16 years ago, and he had been having interesting experiences in his guiding work, interesting experiences with wild animals. And they were so interesting that people had started to say to him that they thought that maybe there was something a little bit more than these being merely interesting experiences. And so via he was led to me to investigate what the spiritual background of what was happening to him was. So Peter walked into my workroom one day, and I remember being struck by his power and his decisiveness. He was clear. And he sat down and he told me what was going on, and he told me what he wanted to do about it, and he told me when it would be over. And that was my first encounter with Peter. And that was how it went with Peter from then on. So he agreed to work with me, and I became his mentor. As Rob mentioned, I'm a traditional healer. I did my training to do with nature and territorial spirits, which is something that people might not know very much about, and those of us who work with it don't talk very much about. But it seems that the experiences that Peter was having with wild animals were to do with his affinity to these kind of spirit. And so he became my mentee, and I worked with Peter for a number of years. And he was one of those kind of persons who does what you tell them and more, and then comes back and tells you why what you told them wasn't quite enough. That was Peter. And he worked deeply. And Peter was a very spiritual man. I think this has been mentioned before. He was very deep. He'd been searching hard. He'd been to India. And in his time in India, he had done the visits of ashrams and walked up into the Himalayas. And what he told me was that he was seeking holy men who could talk to him or explain to him some of the deep questions which he carried, and I think that he's carried to this day. And I hope, wherever you are, Peter, that maybe those questions will now find some unfolding for you, because I certainly couldn't answer them. And I wonder if the holy men in the Himalayas even could. We worked together for a number of years, and Peter being the man who he is, it's very difficult not to become his friend. And we became friends. And in a typical way of Peter, his mentorship with me ended at a certain point. He had invited myself and Rob and a number of other friends on a trail in the Mfolozi. And on the trail, I remember one evening, Peter wandered off and it had started to drizzle. And a number of us had decided to put the fly sheets up to make shelter. And we all thought that we'd done a marvelous job of this and were rather pleased with ourselves until Peter came back and made us take them down and redo it. And for me in that moment, I knew Peter quite well by then, and I knew that it was also that he was saying that he was now at the end of the mentorship, and we were now peers, and we could get on with the business of being friends, which for me was wonderful. because Peter makes a much better friend than he does a mentee. He makes a really beautiful friend. And I have cherished Peter's friendship till today. I last saw him on Good Friday. I very much cherish that I saw him just after he'd had a blood transfusion, so he had some energy. We had a very beautiful time. And I wish for him that his journey will continue in the same way that he trod in life, with such grace, with such dignity, with such power and such strength. And as my friend, Peter, I will miss you so hard. Your little blue car parking in front of my house is sorely missed, and trying to navigate whether or not Ginger is allowed in. These are some of the small things I will remember about Peter. And yet they are big things. Peter came to visit me in my home in Botswana. We spent a week on top of a mountain doing some very amazing things. We had a very amazing time. Those are the times that I will cherish. I will cherish the time when there was a black mamba right in front of us, and I jumped and ran. And Peter sat quietly and looked and called me a coward. And yes, Peter, I'm still scared of black mambas. That's how it goes. I will be performing a service for him in a little while. And in his way, he commanded me to do this and told me in detail what it is that he expects of me. So I will be following his instruction, probably not to the letter, because I do still have a little bit of my own dignity. But I will follow Peter's instruction as he called, and I will complete the service for him. And I think it was said earlier on that Peter, like myself, did not think that a memorial or a service or a funeral is a celebration of life. He also believed that it's a time to grieve and a time to feel the loss and the empty space that this man has left in his passing. I certainly feel that very deeply. I'm holding back my tears as I speak. I will miss you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, it's a real honor to be here, to be asked to play the part for this event with you, Neil. So I'll say a few words now, and I'll try and keep time for myself, because I haven't been keeping time for anyone else. But I think we're doing okay. So this is a hard task, to put into words what Peter really meant to me. Any attempt seems wholly inadequate, and the most confronting part of him dying is that I'm only now realizing the full extent of my love for this man. The time of grieving since his death is opening my eyes to just how much he meant to me and why. So what to say about my friend Peter? He set a very high bar. He was simply put, the highest caliber man I've ever met. And I'm pretty sure I won't meet anyone like him in my life. To me, Peter was like a character from a great novel, romantic novel. I think, maybe from when I was a child, I read Wilbur Smith and of that ilk, or maybe a Hemingway or something like that. Hemingway would have really had a field day with Peter. He was so complex and rich in how he lived and who he was. Peter was a man of extremes. It's been said already today. Peter was a man who was happy in the bush with nothing but the bare essentials. to keep him alive, but then appreciated the refined sophistication of civilization. He revered nature and wilderness, but also loved and mastered technology and machines. He lived in the mystical and was profoundly spiritual and philosophical, but also profane and just at home in the mundane. He was fiercely intelligent. If you knew Peter, you would know how intelligent he was. But he was also that, I don't know how he pulled it off. He was intelligent and deeply feeling and intuitive. Peter, it's such a privilege to be your friend. I was so proud of you, and I would brag about you to anyone who would listen. I didn't tell him that. I never told him that. That would make him uncomfortable. He would love it, but he would make me suffer for it. I'd also been nervous to introduce him to my girlfriends because I was convinced they'd prefer him to me, which they probably did and didn't admit to me. And I would never admit that to him. His friendship taught me so much, but one of the things that it taught me is that every man needs a friend who they admire and respect so much that they aspire to match him. Being your friend made me want to live as well as I could so that I could then share it with you, which I did, always slightly nervous for the criticism that was going to come. It's never good enough. Grudging admiration is the best I would get. Whatever I achieved, whatever experience I shared with him, I knew he could better it. So having you as my friend Peter made me a better man and catalyzed the most profound adventures and journeys. Just having you in the world made me embrace the adventure of my life more fully and deeply. Peter and I shared the same passions. It was endlessly surprising how much we had in common. My enduring memories of Peter were of racing high-performance cars and motorcycles through the best roads the Cape had to offer. And then when he came to visit me in America, he had booked in test rides with Teslas and sports cars, and we did it there. I remember howling. I found a video the other day on my WhatsApp thread that an ex-girlfriend, sorry, Shoska, had taken of us in a Tesla, just ripping as fast as we could, just howling with laughter, just the pure joy of being exhilarated and alive. And that was Peter for me. And my memory of him, of being on the trail that Neil mentioned, and going into the Cedarburg with him and being awestruck with how much he belonged in places that were so foreign to me. We spoke for hours, and he never failed to astonish me with what he knew, how well read he was, and how incredibly intelligent and articulate he was. Having Peter to talk to and get his opinion on anything was the most precious gift. Everything that mattered to me, I wanted to talk to him about and to hear his thoughts. And to see everything through his eyes. I trusted him deeply to tell me the truth, however confronting it might be, and it always was. Peter took everything to the next level of proper. This is a man that when we were deciding what race bike he would buy, he sent me a spreadsheet with highly detailed cost analysis of power to weight ratios versus price and then quality of machine. It was insane, but that was Peter. He did everything properly and thoroughly. Well, he did almost everything properly. I have to say that this was not always the case with his choice of girlfriends. Another thing Peter and I had in common was that we both deeply disapproved of each other's choice of women. Until Shoska. He told me about you immediately that he met you. And I knew by the way that he spoke about you that you were different. He was a very discerning man, and it was clear how much he loved you. I was struck with the one thing he would repeat about you was that you were at home in your body and he was awestruck with this quality. Shoska, I'm so sorry that we only met now at the end of Peter's life. This should be his wedding. It should be your wedding. Not this. You were sharing with me the other day how Peter and you met, and you told me that you didn't believe, you thought he was full of shit. You didn't believe his stories. These incredible stories that he had, until you realized, after you got to know him a bit better, that they were true. That captures who Peter was for me. He was the gift that kept giving, literally. I knew from the moment we met that he had something very special, and I wanted to be around him. And getting to know him was a process of defying my disbelief, because the more I got to know about him, the more I valued him. His death over these last few days has brought that to a whole new level. Only now that he's gone can I experience the full depth and appreciation for who he was and how much I loved him. I was fortunate enough to spend many days with him in hospital in the last few weeks, and he told me at the end that it was only as he was dying that he could access and be present to the love that others felt for him. Peter, your death has cracked my heart wide open, and only now am I present to how much love and respect I have for you, and it's devastating, humbling, and beautiful. You were taken from us too soon, and I foolishly took it for granted that we'd have more time. More time to just be in each other's lives, to take walks and to laugh and be fathers together. Peter was my son Bear's godfather. His death is horrendously tragic for so many reasons. But that Bear has been robbed of the opportunity to know this great man and be impacted by him is devastating to me. But I will tell my son about you, Peter, and who you were and what you stood for. And you will enrich and shape him even in death. And that's a good kind of haunting. Like Neil said, Peter wanted his funeral to be a grieving, not a celebration. He put it, not a new age bullshit celebration of life. Well, you got what you want, my friend. I'm undone by my grief. I hope you're satisfied. Peter, thank you for all you were and how much your friendship gave me. There will be none like you. Farewell, my friend. Rest easy. Wherever you are, I know you are doing it properly and making it your home. So we'll now hear from Aaron, who has a song for us.
So the whole time that I've been standing here, the one question that I keep on thinking is to each of the people that knew Peter and loved him is, what part of him can we keep alive? In some small way, he meant so much to each of us, and that's the question that is in my heart, is how can each one of us keep some part of him alive? So I just have a short story, a memory that Ben and I were trying to verify if it actually happened. And Dan and Mark would probably have a different memory of this moment, but about 15 years ago, Peter took us into the Umfolozi for 5 days. It was my bachelor's. And I think it was about day 3. This is my memory of it. I think we might all have a different recollection, but we were walking up a hill, and at some point he said we must stop. And he said that at the top of the hill there were 2 female lions under a tree. And we were downwind, so we were okay for now, but we had a choice to make. Either we could turn around and walk back and go a long route around this hill, and that would add a few hours possibly to our walk, or we could chase them. That was our choice, and we chose to chase them. We ran up this hill towards these lions, screaming and shouting, and they got the fright of their lives and ran away, and we chased them down this valley, and then we came back up and enjoyed the shade of the tree. Only Peter could have even thought of that as an option. There's so much to say, and also nothing that can be said. So, yeah, just Peter, I'll always love you and admire you. And I'm very grateful to have my sister Zolani here to share a song that we wrote together a few years ago. It's called Lionheart. And it just feels like we could have written it for Peter. And this is the first time that we're performing it for anybody.
You were born for the battle, baby. You were born chasing darkness away. Everything you desire is all inside of you. Take these words as your motto, baby. Say them loud every night and day. You see, the heart of a lion is yours. You found your way. I believe you're a lion heart, braver than you thought you were. Take your place in the circle of life. It was yours right from the start. I believe you're a lion heart, coming home towards yourself. Underneath these stars above, we are here to stay. And even though I've seen you out, seen you on your knees in the night. Don't get it twisted, everybody needs a breath sometimes. And so rise up, rise up, rise up to look up to the skies above, my love. Those kings and queens, they will guide you. That's to remind you, always inside, remember who you are. I believe you're a lion heart, braver than you thought you were. Take your place in the circle of life. It was yours right from the start. I believe you're a lion heart, coming home towards yourself. Underneath these stars above, we are here stay.
I want to say thank you for that. I don't know whether you knew that Peter's animal that he chose right from the time he was born was a lion.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you very much. It's very personal.
Okay. So yeah, Peter's getting what he wanted. Like I said, he asked for wailing in our grief. This feels to me the air is thick with that. And he asked Neil to conduct a particular kind of service. So I'm now going to hand you over to Neil to conduct that.
So I'll ask you to bear with me. There's a little bit of setting up that needs to be done. We're going to be making an address to those who came before us and those who are greater than us, and consigning all the parts of Peter back to where they come from and back to where they belong. So it'll take a moment to set up, if you would bear with us for that. And as I said earlier on, nothing is prepared. We will follow, and maybe Peter will be good enough to guide me along a little bit. And I will do my best not to fault in his instruction. So, yeah, the invitation is to sit a little while. It won't be too long. There's a few things that we need to set up, and we will be conducting something from here. I will ask on the people who know about microphones to help me so that I will be sitting on the floor. The invitation is to take your shoes off. These are invitations. When we've completed the service, there's an invitation to come and to take a piece of cord, which will be a part of the service, and to find somebody and to tie it on their left wrist, and to tie it in such a way that only nature will remove it. And the invitation is to stay with that, with the remembrance of our friend, until it falls off and goes back to the soil where he will have gone. So I ask you to bear with me a minute or two while I prep. Thank you. Hey, would you bring the thing? If you want, you know about microphones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be sitting on the floor, so just to have a microphone close by, because I'm going to be speaking, and I would rather not be speaking into the mic, but then just have the voice so that everybody can hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
That would be very great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. leave it here, it's good. I don't know if this microphone is now. Hey, yeah, sit. Do you know where the west is? Over there. I can find out. Okay, you find out for me.
This way.
Huh? Where's the west there?
The west is where the sun is going down over there.
That's the west? Yeah.
Do you want it there or do you want it on a stand?
I don't mind where it is as long as it can pick me up from here doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see if... Okay, that one will need to come on this side here. Okay, now the moment of truth is whether the mic can pick me up from here. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay.
How about at the back?
No.
Huh?
Closer.
Can you just put it a bit closer?
How about that?
Just move this whole thing forward. Move that. And then swing it around.
So it's like a WhatsApp call. Can you hear me now? Okay, the signal. Peter Raimondo, Peter Joseph Raimondo, Peter. It's me, it's Neil. Where you are, don't be distracted. Don't turn around, continue, but hear the voice. Peter, your body has died. You are dead. But you continue. Peter, be with us. I'm going to call your family and ask them to receive you. And I'm going to call those who are greater and ask them to receive you. I'm calling on you, John Raimondo. John, it's me, Neil. You did know me in life. Your son is coming that way. John, I ask you to come with the Raimondos, with the clan, with the family, with the grandfathers, with the grandmothers, each of them. Each of them back, right the way back, right the way through history, right the way through time. Let them be there. Let them there to receive their son, receive their grandson, each grandfather and each grandmother. I call on you, Raimondos. Your son is coming. Receive him. John, receive your son. And I'm calling Peter on your mother's family, on the Stapleton Atkins. Family of the Stapleton Atkins. Your grandson, your son is coming. Receive him. Asking you to be there, each one, each grandfather, each grandmother, right the way back, right the way through space and through time. Be there. Receive your son, receive your grandson as he comes back. Peter, here we will be okay. We will take care of each other. And we will take care of those who you left behind. Don't be distracted. Go forward on your journey. Go where it is that you need to belong. We are consigning you now. Peter, what you have left behind that required nourishment and shelter will be burned. And it will become ashes. And you will go back to the soil from which you were made. And Peter, the water that was part of your body will go back to the water and return to the oceans and become again the rain. And Peter, your soul will become one with your ancestors and mingle deeply with them and go on to its journey. Released from the body. And Peter, your spirit will now fly to that place where you had questions. May your spirit fly there, Peter. And may you find the responses to the questions that you've asked. May your ancestors guide you, Peter. We call on those who lived on this soil before each of us have been here. Those who are buried underneath this soil. Those who have made their homes here before. those who have made their campfires here before, those who have raised their children here before on this very soil, those who lie beneath us. One of us again returns to you. Ancestors of the soil, receive him. He too lived on this soil. And we call upon those who fly. We call upon those who walk on 2 legs, who walk on 4 legs, who walk on many legs, those who don't walk but slither, and those who swim. We call on them and their ancestors, those who came before, to receive one of us who has come to you and departed from us. Peter, be received by the ancestors. Go back into the soil. Go back into the ocean. We call on those who are truly ancient. We call on the mountains. We call on the rivers, the oceans. We call on those of the dry, dusty places, of those of the hot places. We call on those of the humid and tropical places, of the green places. We call on those of the cold. We call on those of the barren places. And we call on those of the fertile and open plains. We call on these ancient ancestors. One of us has left and gone to join you. Receive our brother. Peter, return to the earth. Return to the ocean. Return to your ancestors. And may your spirit soar. We call on you, the creator of all things, the provider of all things, the provident. You has given us life and creation out of pure love. You who in all things, it's your plan. Your creation has come to join you again. Receive our brother. We held him precious in the time he was with us. Receive our brother in the same way that you walked with him as he walked on earth. Our Creator, receive our brother. We will feel the loss. Peter, be received by your Creator. You did your work here and he called you back. And that is the way of things. Don't be distracted. We will take care of each other. And we will remember you. And we will talk of you. And yes, Peter, you have left behind a possibility of a perpetuation of yourself. And we will rejoice in that. And yet now we will mourn your passing. Don't be distracted. Peter, return to the earth. Let the ashes go to be in ashes. Let the dust go to be in dust. Let the water go back to the waters. Let the soul go to the ancestors. And Peter, may your spirit go to the Creator of all things, that you may be in peace and find the fulfillment that you always seeked. This is my address today. With these words I close.
It's exactly 4 o'clock. Perfect in its imperfection. Thank you, Neil. What Peter's death has taught me, it's taught me many things, but more than anything is what to value in this life. Never to take it for granted, to take care of those things that matter to you. So my condolences to Peter's family, to Peter's mother, to Peter's sister, to Shoska, to all who loved and cared about Peter. Farewell, my friend. So thank you everyone for coming. We will say farewell to those who are joining us online. I'm not sure, is it this camera or this camera? This camera, either. So thank you for being here. There will be a slideshow for you of some wonderful pictures of Peter. So thank you for coming and joining us from wherever you are. And so now we'll have an opportunity to wander the garden, and we have several memorial stations where we'd like to invite you to gather. And there are memories and artifacts reminding us of Peter. And if you could, on your way there, if you could pick up a piece of thread here that Neil has, what's the right word for it? Blessed? Dedicated. And what we're suggesting is that you ask, because unless you're incredibly dexterous, it's very difficult to tie something around your own wrist. And so if you could help one another tie these around your wrists, and while you are tying it, have a connection around what Peter meant to you and who he was, and if you like, share some memories of him. So there are drinks, and are there eats? There are some eats. Okay, you'll find them. It's coming. And then just a reminder: if you do want to leave before 6, we're going to be here. We're going to be here until 6, and then we're going to be ushering people home or wherever you need to go. But if you do need to leave before 6, there will be someone up to let you out of the gate, because we need to let you out and then close the gate. So we need to be there to let you out of the gate every half an hour. So 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30. And we'll be there for a few minutes. Okay. Thank you.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for change? Did you exchange a walk-on part in the war for a lead role in a cage? How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. And have we found the same old fears? Wish you were here.
Things have been going wrong long enough to know everything is right. Been walking in the dark long enough to know I've finally seen the light. I've been losing long enough to know when I find one. And even a blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun. Cried enough to know this feeling called a smile. And I've been bottom wrong long enough to know when I do it in style. I've been run long enough to know there's no more need to blind man can tell when he's walking in the sun.